Namaskar and Hari Om to all. My name is Anya Desai. I am a student of Chinmaya Mission, Balvihar Goregaon branch. Balvihar is the brainchild of Swami Chinmayananda. Its aim is to introduce our culture and inculcate dharmic values in children. Bhagavad Gita chanting is the salient feature of our weekly Balvihar sessions. Today, I am here to chant select shlokas from chapter 2 of Bhagavad Gita as a part of Project Saarthi. Project Saarthi is our collective attempt to introduce the Bhagavad Gita to 100 families. Thus, we continue on the path showed us by Pujya Gurudev Swami Chinmayananda, who dedicated his life in spreading the glory of Bhagavad Gita across the globe. Sanjaya uvacha tam tatha kripayavistam ashrupunat kulekshanam vishidantamidam vakyam uvacha madhusudana Shri Bhagavan uvacha kutastvakashmalamidam vishame samupasthitam anaryajashtamasvargyam akirtikaram arjuna Klaivyam asmagamah partha naitotvaiyupapadyate shudram hridaya daurvalyam tyaktvotishtha parantapa Arjuna uvacha katham bhishmamaham sankhye dronam cha madhusudana ishubhi pratiyotsyami pujarha varisudana Guruna hatva hi mahanubhavan Shreyo bhoktum vaikshyamapi haloke Hatvartha kaman suguruni haiva Bunjiya bhogan rudira pradikhan Nachaitvatvitmah kataranno gariyaha Yadva jaye maya divanu jayeyu Yaneva hatva najijive सेवास्थिताः प्रमुखे धार्तराष्ट्राः कार्पण्यदोषोपहतः स्वभावः पृच्छामि त्वं धर्मसम्पूढचेताः यच्छ्रेयस्यानिश्चितं ब्रूहि तन्मे शिष्यस्तेऽहं शाधिमां त्वां प्रपन्नं न हि प्रपश्यामि ममापनोत्यात् यच्छोकमुच्छोषणमिन्द्रियाणाम् अवाप्य भूमापसपत्नमृद्धं राज्यं सुराणामपि चाधिपत्यं सञ्जय उवाच एवमुक्त्वा ऋषिकेशं गुडाकेशः परन्तप न योत्स्य इति गोविन्दम् उक्त्वा तूष्णीं बभूवः तमुवाच ऋषिकेशः प्रहसन्निव भारत सेनयोरुभयोर्मध्ये विषीदन्तमिदं वचः श्रीभगवानुवाच अशोच्यानन्दवशोचस्त्वं प्रज्ञावादांश्च भाषसे गतासून गतासूंश्च नानुशोचन्ति पण्डिताः न त्वेवाहं जातु नासं न त्वं नेमे जनाधिपाः न चैव न भविष्यामः सर्वे वयमतः परं देहिनोऽस्मिन् यथा देहे कौमारं यौवनं जरा तथा देहान्तरप्राप्तिः धीरस्तत्र न मुह्यति मात्रा स्पर्शस्तु कौन्तेय शीतोष्ण सुखदुःखदाः आगमापायिनो नित्याः तां तितिक्षस्व भारत यं हि न व्यथयन्ते ते पुरुषं पुरुषर्षभ समदुःखसुखं धीरं सोऽमृतत्वाय कल्पते नासतो विद्यते भावः नाभावो विद्यते सतः उभयोरपि दृष्टोऽन्तः त्वनयोस्तत्त्वदर्शिभिः अविनाशि तु तद्विद्धि येन सर्वमिदं ततं विनाशमव्ययस्यास्य न कश्चित् कर्तुमर्हति अन्तवन्त इमे देहाः नित्यस्योक्ताः शरीरिणः अनाशिनो प्रमेयस्य तस्माद्युध्यस्व भारत य एनं वेति हन्तारं यश्चैनं मन्यते हतम् उभौ तौ न विजानीतः नायं हन्ति न हन्यते न जायते म्रियते वा कदाचित् नायं भूत्वा भविता वा न भूयः अजो नित्यः शाश्वतोऽयं पुराणः न हन्यते हन्यमाने शरीरे हरि ओम श्री गुरुभ्यो नमः हरि ओम। Essence of Bhagavad Gita Chapter 2. The essence of Bhagavad Gita unfolds in the second chapter called Sankhya Yoga or the Yoga of Knowledge. Second chapter is probably the most longest of all the chapters because the Lord Himself tells us about many perspectives and truths of life. This chapter opens our heart and minds to all the answers any human is looking for a spiritual development like first, knowledge of self Atman, second, theory of reincarnation, third, duty of one and all that is work for the sake of work, fourth, reason of all sufferings which is materialistic attachment, fifth, enemies of mankind like lust, anger and greed, sixth, solution for all problems which is renunciation and detachment, seventh, science of action which is work without attachment towards results, and lastly, disposition of an enlightened being. The chapter begins with the dilemma of Arjuna and concludes with the description of man of perfection. At the beginning of the chapter, Sanjaya gives a complete picture of Arjuna's mental state to Dhritarashtra, which is overwhelmed with sorrow for his near and dear ones. Arjuna did not know whether he should fight, although fighting is the duty of Kshatriyas, or whether he should refrain from killing them in battlefield. Arjuna's state of mind could be due to a sense of deseparation. This is what happens to most of us when confronted by unimaginable problems in our day-to-day life. When hysteria attacks intellectual composure, is destroyed and resulting confusion leads to inefficiency and ultimately to failure in life. Arjuna completely surrenders to Lord Krishna as a student and requests for guidance by saying, Sisyate aham, meaning, I am your disciple. Verse 11 of chapter 2 is essentially the beginning of Bhagavad Gita. Chapter 1 and first 10 verses of chapter 2 are used to build the background for the Gita. Verse 11 explains that sorrow arises out of misunderstanding and self-realization is the only way to overcome sorrow. The chapter further states discrimination between the real and unreal, called wisdom and wise men do not grieve because they can discriminate between the imperishable soul and the perishable body. The body ever perishes, therefore it is not to be grieved, while the soul never perishes and therefore it is also not to be grieved. One is grieved because of lack of wisdom and discrimination. Lord Krishna explains that just as there is no grief when one discards old worn out garments and there is joy at accepting new garments, in the same way the embodied soul discarding old worn out bodies joyfully and accepts new ones. Thus, Krishna explains the basic principle is that no instrument can hit or destroy any element subtler than itself. Atma being subtler than the subtlest, it cannot be changed by any other elements such as air, water, fire or earth. This is the gist of second chapter in brief. Hari Om.
Hari Om.